Hey everybody, it's Belinda Wasser from the VA Connection. How are you all doing? I am so happy to have with me Liliane today, who has been a participant in the VA Connection Launchpad and a huge success. And I'm also happy to say that we've become friends. We've bonded over chickens and being a VA. So welcome, and thank you for coming to talk to everybody today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here, and I love taking the class.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell me a little bit about why you like being, well, first where you're located and why you like being a VA. Like, what's so cool about it for you?
Okay, so I'm located in Holliston, Massachusetts. It's about 40 miles out of the city of Boston. And the biggest draw for me for being a VA is being able to work at home and under my own scheduling.
Mm-hmm.
That's a freedom, the freedom to be able to do that. I worked independently for the last 20 some plus years, and going back into the office space is just not, it's not in my DNA.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Somebody once said to me that they were unemployable, and what that really means is no one can employ me. Like instead of I can't get a job. Yeah, don't want
exactly
one. Anyway, so how did you? What was your path to being a VA? Like, what's your story about how you became a VA?
So I have a very varied background. I started as an engineer. I worked in television. I built and documented guitar amplifiers and computers. Then I moved on to documentation engineering, which I really enjoyed. And then I did a complete about face, and I became a massage therapist. And I was a massage therapist for 16 years, owning my own business. And at that point, at the end of that time, I retired, and I found myself kind of without a job and no direction.
Yeah.
And I had all this talent, and I didn't know how to umbrella it in one place. And about 2 years ago, I heard of a virtual assistant. I didn't know what it was, and it first became known to me, and I actually was doing that kind of work as a side gig, and I didn't even know it. About 6 months ago, no, probably almost a year ago, I actually tried to get a job as a real office person, and it lasted 6 weeks, and it was not a good fit. And when I told my husband, I said, this is not working. I cannot work in an office. I just can't do it. I need to be on my own. I said, I want to do virtual assistant full time. And we kind of mutually let myself go from that company. And in November 2019, I officially started my virtual assistant business. So I come with a huge range of talents.
And I don't know about you, but for me, I felt like all of those talents come together, because don't you pick, like, even like doing the guitar amplification thing, which I didn't even know you did. There's probably some little thing you learned about how business works by doing that you bring that to what you're doing now. Do you find that?
One of the things specifically for that was I had to learn how to write documentation so other people could take it and build the guitar amplifier. So I found I'm really, really good at instructional documentation. And I can really explain it down. I don't want to say it mean, but like dumb it down so that anybody can understand it. And I actually had to do that in many jobs, later in life. So that became really important. So yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing that reminds me is that there are so many there's so many different kinds of clients in virtual assistant work. So someone was saying to me, this was just this week, I've been talking to some people who are interested in taking the Launchpad course, and one of the things that she asked me about was, what do my clients do? Because she was under the impression that most clients do these, like, and some of them do online businesses with ClickFunnels and Infusionsoft, all of this sort of really techie stuff. And a lot of them do, but a lot of them don't. A lot of them are just like regular people who want help with their scheduling or their PowerPoint or, things and skills that both you and I picked up along the way when we were doing, different jobs.
Right. I think you had said before that you're not a big fan of doing a lot of social media stuff. I'm not a fan of that either. And at first I wondered that. It's one of the things I came to you wanting to know. I think I found you on LinkedIn in an article or something, and then I joined your newsletter and then the Facebook group and stuff. And I was wondering about that. I was like, geez, social media is just not my big forte. Can I really do this? And I found out, yes, you can, because there's so many other things aside from social media that you can be doing. And I, for one, I've been doing some of them. I was writing a lady's memoirs. I mean, that was valid. I do database work. I don't necessarily always work in social media, although I do have some experience with that. So yeah, and there's a lot of work out there for a lot of different skill sets.
That's totally true. And you get to say no. Like
Right.
I'll have clients say to me, you know, I'll say, I think we should do a newsletter. That's a good idea. Or they'll say, let's do that. And I'll say, great, but I don't do the writing. I can tell you the sections of the newsletter. I can tell you, you know, that we need a header and we need a title and we need a MailChimp account or a constant contact account, but you have to provide the words. And I know I've heard some fear in some VAs' voices when I'm talking to them, because they think, if I can't do everything, and I can't do everything right now, I'm going to be in trouble. And that's just not the case at all. Yeah, I mean,
one of the things you have to remember is that the client may come to you with a list of like 30 things, but if you can do 20 of the 30 things, you're still saving them time, and either they'll do the other themselves or find someone else that does that, or you can help them find someone else that does that.
that's exactly right. I was just talking to someone a few minutes ago about the course, and we were talking about exactly that. I can't always do everything, but I have a guy or a girl, a woman, man who knows how or can, or we can find someone. But I don't take my hands off of it. I'm still managing that, you know, project managing that, and the client just doesn't. They just don't want to know. And another story I was telling the same woman a few minutes ago was that I used to be really shy. If I didn't know the answer to something, I would quietly Google, you know, while I'm talking on the phone. Now I actually say, hold on, I'm going to Google it. And, you know, so you don't have to know everything, but the client doesn't want to Google it, but they don't mind paying you to Google it. So when you first signed up for the course, what were you hoping for? What were you thinking, you know, this would just be so good if?
So I have been in some other business classes, and they were really helpful, except for that I wasn't as focused as I am right now. So I knew that I wanted to do the virtual assistant thing. I had just started my business in November, and I think I hooked on to you in like January, and the timing was just perfect. And I wanted to know, you know, good tips and tricks of the trade. I wanted, you know, motivation to get my stuff done and get it going. And I wanted the community and mentorship, and you're my mentor. So I knew I needed that. I think everybody does. And that's how you run a good business. So I knew I wanted all of that. And you were offering this class, and it was the right time, and that all fit together. So yeah.
Yeah. And the great thing is, each time I've taught this class, just the right people are there and everybody gels, and it's so cool. I really love that. It's really good. So this is an interesting time because, you know, a lot of us are sort of in transition. You know, there are a lot of people in the VA Connection group who are thinking about being a VA, but they're nervous that the world's going to go back to how it was, which for me would be virtually anyway.
Right.
What is you know, what do you have to say to them, maybe, you know, that when they're not sure if this is the right time to jump?
I think a lot of virtual assistant will have a great place in the world as it goes forward. I'm not worried about having work. I think that there's going to be work out there. I think even though maybe more jobs will become virtual because of this COVID thing, we found out, oh, people can work at home. I still think that there'll be a great demand for virtual assistant work, and maybe even more so because of that. So, you know, I think it's a great time for virtual assistants. I think it can be really a big boom. I think, and I really believe there's plenty of work for everybody.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, my own personal experience is that since the middle of March, I've taken on 7 or 8 new clients, and people that I had never worked with before, and that are taking, some of them are they've lost their job and they need someone to help them. Some of them are businesses that are saying, okay, it's a little slow, or we were in trouble, we have to fix this right now, and they need help with it. So I don't see really any slowing down at all, which is exciting, because I think it is such a good career choice. And the thing that was kind of struck me is when I first had my own business, I was not really jealous, but I was always wondering, am I doing a silly thing? Should I get a job? Should I have, the boss and the traditional stuff? Can I really pull this off? But what I've learned over time is that people who have jobs have what I call a single point of failure, called their boss decides to fire them or let go of them or get scared. And that has happened to people that I know just because of COVID, where if you have your own clients and you have your own business, if 5 of my clients went away or 10 of them, that wouldn't be the happiest day of my life. But first of all, they don't know each other, so it's not like they're going to have a meeting and discuss it and I'll leave. But the other thing is that more business comes, and even in a crisis situation like this, I slowed down for a couple of days where I think everyone was like, what just happened? And then over time, people came back to life, and now it's well in full force again. So I think that is an interesting thing to think about, that single point of failure, because I think we just don't have that.
The other thing too, and this might be a little cosmic, if you will, but you and I both believe in the law of attraction and the way things work. And I don't feel competition. I don't do competition. I never did, not even my other businesses. And I just believe that there's enough for everyone. There really is. And you can find it. And again, doing virtual assistants with many different skill sets, there's a lot of places for you to go. It isn't just the one kind of person that needs the social media. It can be anybody needing anything.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, I don't believe in competition either. And it just makes the world a nicer place, because how many clients do I need? Like, I have enough right now, So, and we all get to that point where we have enough, and it's good. It's good. So were there any surprises in the course, where you thought, oh, I'm surprised she does it that way, or that this is the way it happens?
Well, the debit card was a big surprise. I never heard of that method of being paid, which I thought was really interesting. What else? Again, just some of the tools that I wasn't aware of, or maybe had heard of, but really didn't know enough about, or finding out, like you gave great tips on, the bare essentials of what you need, or what you feel we need as a virtual assistant, versus, buying every platform on the market and having to spend gazillions of dollars to do your job, which you really don't need to do. Mm-hmm. I really appreciated learning that, and learning that just because you do it one way, I can do it another way, and that's perfectly fine too. So I think that was the big surprise.
Yeah. Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, the debit card system that Liliane mentioned so I came up with this way to get to be prepaid. So my clients buy either 5 or 10 hour chunks of my time up front, and then they work it down over time. And what happens is I don't have to do invoicing. I don't have to, I don't have to do really any paperwork. They pay with credit card, and it's self-service. So every Monday it happened, this is Monday, right? It happened twice today. I sent out an email to all of my people. I scheduled it last night, went out this morning, and 2 people reloaded their debit card. So they have more hours, and then tomorrow or the next day, the money will just be in my bank account. So it's a really simple way. And we talk a lot about that in the course as well, how to get paid up front and automate things when we can. And
you didn't have to have the cash discussion either, the payment discussion, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a whole way to separate the work and the money, which I really like, because then there's room for a relationship, which it's just different when you're not, if I have a client and we're working on a project this week, and I know that the debit card's going to run out before I'm finished, I just say to her, hey, Diane, the debit card's, it's empty. Can you just reload it? Versus, I need you to give me some more money, or whatever. It's a softer conversation for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see if there's any questions over here. So we've got someone saying hello. And here we go. I was looking for, Isabel. So Isabel is signed up for the Launchpad. I'm happy to see you. And hi, Kimberly. Good. I'm glad you found me. It can be tricky sometimes with these social media things. And here's Marie. Marie, I interviewed Marie last week. She was in the course too. And Marie has a job, and she started working from home, and she wasn't a VA, and now she has a website. And Liliane, you just redid your website, you know, she knows her pricing and all kinds, you know, she's got in place what it takes to
Launch
have
a business.
yeah, exactly. I think Kimberly's agreeing about competition, and good to see you. So if you guys, you'll notice when I do these lives, we're using StreamYard, and if you click that little accept button, we can see who you are. So if you want me to recognize you, please do that. So is there anything else you want to talk about the Launchpad, and then I'll go into the details.
I found the Launchpad. It was the perfect timing. There is a price commitment, but for me, that was worth it. You really have to invest in yourself and your business. I knew that coming in. I remember the conversation we had right before I joined. I didn't have the money, and I really, really wanted to do this. And we came back from our tax returns the next day, and I had a chunk of change. And I told my husband, I want to take my half of this and put it into this class because I really think this is going to help. And I was very right. So it was a really good investment.
I remember that. Yeah, you were disappointed, and then all of a sudden, I remember it was like the next day or the day after. You're like, I'm here. So that was really good. That was awesome. Yeah. So you guys, go ahead.
Well, the last thing I want to say is just for me personally, I was really looking for community, and that's what I've got here. You have the virtual assistant Facebook group, and then there's the VIP group, plus the Launchpad people that I took the class with. I've really developed some good friendships there. And again, virtual assistants, you work alone. So you need that community. And this has just been wonderful. And the people are very nice and pleasant and forward thinking and, you know, not backstabbing or anything like that. Very helpful. So I can't say enough about that. And I really wanted the community for the end result, which is what I got.
That was really, so two things surprised me. One was that because you never know how people are going to gel together. The other thing that so there were testimonials, and I asked a lot of people, you know, like, how was that for you at the end? And one of the things that surprised me was that they said a benefit was they had confidence because they didn't have to question themselves anymore, right? It was, this is my price, this is what I do. And they were able to really, to get that confidence that they didn't have before, and that really touched me when I realized that.
Right, and we can all rally around each other and say, "Yeah, do it. You know, raise your price. Do what you need to do. We've got your back. You're doing the right thing."
Yeah, well, you guys are still doing it. I'm getting these emails when I'm being CC'd on them, where you're like, "I finished my website. Can you look at it?" So it's very exciting. So thank you so much for coming on. I was so excited when you said that you would do it, and I really wanted everyone to get to know you. And so thank you. I'm just gonna, yeah, this is good. It's so much fun. Technology can do this, and I can't wait till I meet you in person. Liliane and I both have chickens, and so we bond over our
brood.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, well, great. I'm gonna click you, unless anyone has a question for Liliane. Let's see if anyone does. So, like, let me see what it says. The money has been a challenge for me, but Belinda is successful. Oh, thank you for saying that. 9 years of experience to bring to the course. I just had a stressful client experience, so I'm looking forward to learning how to get the right clients. Yeah. Not all of you know me very well. Even if you've been in the group, you might not know my story. And I'm just going to tell it to you really quick. So 9 years ago, let me back up a little bit before that. I was the secretary, receptionist, director of operations, office manager, always admin, trying to make things better and faster and more efficient. And I started an online store when my daughter was born because I wanted to go off on my own. So I sold personalized baby gifts and learned a lot of stuff doing that, like running a business. And people used to say, how did you do that? How did you do that? You know, whether it was, connecting something or organizing a system or, taking credit cards. And I would always say, come to my neighborhood, buy me a martini. I'll explain how I did it. And then one day someone said, can I hire you? And it was time for me to make a change. And so I said yes. And he was my first virtual assistant client. And since then, it's just grown. And that first year, I was able to figure out, with help, I had a coach and all kinds of people, how to make $70,000. And that blew me away. And then the next year, I crossed over the six-figure line. And for the next 8 years, I've made somewhere between, it was like 112 and 100. One year was $146,000. It was a crazy year. It almost killed me, but I had a lot of money in my bank. So these are the systems that I teach in the course, really step by step on how to, whether you want a six-figure business or not, whether you want to work part-time or full-time, you know, how to do that without having to have every single latest skill there is on the planet. I started out knowing Constant Contact and PowerPoint and Excel, and you know, and I really like to figure stuff out. Like, that's one of your secret powers, right, Liliane, that you like to figure stuff out. And people just want to know that you'll take it off their hands. So this course is 12 weeks. It's going to have 8 people in it. Right now, 5 of the seats are sold, so there's only 3 left. We're going to have lots of events like this this week, and so everyone's questions can get answered. It's very hands-on. I'm there teaching the course. There's nothing self-paced about it. You leave with homework and a mission. And the people who came to the course ready to roll left with businesses and clients and websites, and you know, they're set. So if you want to build a business for yourself this summer so you can step right into the fall strong, I would love to have you join me. If you have questions individually and you'd like to ask me, have a Zoom session, I'm happy to do that, so we get just the right people in the course. So I think that's it, Liliane, unless you have anything. I think we're good.
No, I just recommend great class.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, you guys. See you around in the group.
Bye.
Bye.